Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Drew, to the Board of Trustees, to Bill, especially to Bill. It means a lot that you presented that to me. To the faculty, and to the entire Jewell community for being such a wonderful host to my family, to myself, to the student leaders last night. What a really wonderful evening. So I'm a William Jewell College Oxbridge history major who spent my entire career building software. So only people in the Jewell community would believe that, of course, a history major and building software go together. But how does that happen? Well, actually, it almost didn't happen. Nearly 30 years ago, probably almost to the day, I was a senior at Jewell, and I was certain that my path was to join the Federal Reserve, and I was going to, in a few years, go get an MBA. But the Federal Reserve actually didn't invite me back for a second interview. And Nations Bank, where I had actually been working part-time, they also turned me down. They declined to offer me a position in their management training program. So I forged a new plan. I was going to join the Peace Corps. When I called my dad to tell him, my dad's right here, when I called my dad to tell him about this new plan, he asked me a question. Are you going to give up just because people turned you down? Do you remember this call, Dad? And then he offered me, in no uncertain terms, that the next thing I was going to do was to do 10 interviews. And after I had completed 10, then we could talk about the Peace Corps. My dad and his wife, Tammy, are here. And Dad, I want to thank you. You and Mom will always be behind any and all achievements for which I will ever be cited. And as a result of my dad's challenge, a few things happened. I failed several other job interviews. But after one of them, the recruiter mentioned to me that they weren't interested in candidates that were going to spend a few years and then go get an MBA. Duh. I also met a recruiter from Anderson Consulting, and I was offered a job. And when I showed up on my first day at Anderson Consulting, I met a start group full of amazing people, including my wife, Beth, who is here with me today. And Beth, although you didn't go to William Jewell, I believe that she is connected to the college because she epitomizes the William Jewell College motto, Deo Ficis Labora, trust in God and work. My 3 kids, Ethan, Maya, Hayden, I'm honored that you're here. I know you sacrificed by skipping classes, but they will be the first to tell you that Beth's trust in God and her work for our family guide our family. It also guides kids beyond our family, and Beth's work as a preschool teacher and volunteer court-appointed special advocate for foster kids. So thank you, Beth. So Beth and I were assigned the first project together, where I started building software called an expert system, an early form of what we would now call artificial intelligence. And despite my billing rate that Anderson Consulting charged the client, I had 0 previous experience building software. But I don't view my job, even today, as building software. My job is actually to create the fastest path to the most value. And to do this, I need to ask great questions, beginning with, what is valuable? And question I ask every day, what's the next most valuable thing that we do? And really, in more practical conversations with customers, I'll present a new feature or a change in the flow of the software, and there's a very nuanced way to ask questions. Like I could say, oh, Emily, do you like this change? And of course, customers can be like, yeah, I like that change. It's kind of a dumb question, though. A great question is actually to show something to a customer and then do what I call like a currency exchange and say, Emily, does this solve a problem for you to the point where you would pay $9.99 a month for a subscription so that it continues to solve that for you? That's a great question. I believe that questions are the answer. And in a world of AI, the most valuable thing that you can learn is to ask the right questions. Jewell College is where I learned to ask questions, great questions, from a curriculum designed to get me to ask great questions, beginning with my first semester in the Oxbridge program, studying Plato's Republic, Socratic method, and historiography. Historiography focusing on the study of history and those who interpreted it, questioning the bias behind the writers of history. The questions I formed studying historiography grew into a process, a method of empathy, which is a core part of building software, understanding the needs of users to create a novel feature that serves them better than they could describe in their own words or describe the requirement. Jewell College also helped me ask the hard questions about my own biases. My senior year, I took a winter class focused on the question, what are the underlying causes of poverty? As part of that class, I was required to stay overnight in a homeless shelter, a night spent pondering some very difficult questions. I'll say it again. I believe that questions are the answer. And I thank William Jewell and its critical thinking curriculum for designing students who ask great questions. I started by saying I'm a history major that builds software. But I don't like to say that. When people ask me about my time here, I tell them that Jewell didn't teach me history. Jewell designed me to make history. So I'm going to end with a question for the students who are here. How will you make history? Thank you.